Shout out to G-Man Boxing.
Alright, people. Following on from Conor Benn's interview with Piers Morgan, it seems to me, judging by the comments I've seen on my video, the comments I've seen on various social media pages, Twitter, etc., it seems to me that the majority of people, if they were already on the fences about Conor Benn and this whole failed drugs test, a lot of people seem to be saying now, well, I was on the fences, but now after seeing that Piers Morgan interview, I'm convinced. So if anything, from what I've seen from the fallout from that Piers Morgan interview, a lot more people seem to actually, well, it seems to have done less good than I think Conor Benn hoped, or maybe Team Ben hoped. It seems to have had the opposite effect, in the sense that a lot more people looked at that and were like, nah, I'm not buying it. It's a strange one. It really is. The way Conor Benn has handled this situation since the fallout really has been terrible. I mean, in a situation like this, sometimes it's better to just keep a lid on it. If you're going to say anything, say it at the start and be like, I'm proclaiming my innocence, etc., etc. When more stuff comes out, from sanctioned bodies, from British Boxing Board of Control, etc., we'll discuss it. But until then, you just keep your mouth shut. The way Conor Benn handled it, it just made him look just not good. That's the best way I can say it. It's just not good. It made him look like a spoiled brat. Going on social media, saying all these things, etc. It just didn't look good. And now he's given an interview with Piers Morgan. Now, Morgan, to his credit, he did try and grill Conor Benn when Ben was mentioning the dossier and saying stuff, like, well, why don't you present it to British Boxing Board of Control? And he's turned around and he's saying things like pride. Well, here's the thing, right? If that report clarifies your innocence, and if I give this to the British Boxing Board of Control, they'll have no choice but to turn around and say, yep, you're innocent, there you go. Is that not something that you'd want? To be able to turn around to them and say, haha, F you, I'm innocent, there you go, stick it? Is that not something you'd want? To be able to people who are, they're not even accusing you. They're saying they want to investigate it. Is that not a bit of a F you to them to say, well, here you go, ha ha ha, now there you go, exonerate me? That's just the kind of way I'd look at it if it was a smoking gun as they're making it out to be. Now, Conor Benn and his reputation, certainly amongst the hardcore fans and amongst the casual fans in the UK, is taking a dip. It certainly has. There's a lot of people out there now, as I said, following on from the Piers Morgan interview, who seem to be of the belief that, yeah, he is guilty. And as I said, from a PR point of view, this whole debacle hasn't done him any good. So what could he conceivably do that would, at the very least, garner some respect from the general public? And for me, from the outside looking in, if he's not going to fight, because I don't think fighting Manny Pacquiao is going to do anything. If he does fight Manny Pacquiao, I don't think that's going to do absolutely anything. In fact, it might even turn more fans against him, to be honest with you. I think the best thing he can do now in the short term would be to bite the bullet, go on Simon Jordan's show on TalkSport, accept the fact that you're going to get asked very tough questions. You might not like them. He might not accept your responses. He might grill you way more than Morgan did. You might not like it. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of fans will respect him for going on there. I really do. And I think that if his case is so strong, that maybe then, if he's able to handle the questions that Simon Jordan gives him. And look, Simon Jordan is what he is. He's okay. He does ask the hard questions that need to be asked from time to time. He is a bit, if there's one critique I'd have, is that he does seem to be a little bit more, how would I say it? He probably wouldn't push as hard if it's a Frank Warren or someone like that. He would ask them hard questions, but he probably wouldn't go in on them as much as he would a Hearn or someone like that. But he wouldn't pussyfoot around things with Conor Benn. And I think if Conor Benn went on there and he went and gave an interview with Simon Jordan, explained his end, and was able to answer the questions that Simon Jordan has given to him, take it, give some back. I think that would help him massively. At the end of the day, right, I liken this whole Conor Benn situation, if I was to use an analogy, or I was to take an analogy from something, it would be, imagine you're a husband. Imagine you're married. Many people, I'm sure, are married or in relationships. Imagine you go home and you find your wife's been murdered. Okay? It's normal for the spouse to be the prime suspect at the start, right? Because spouses do argue and they do kill each other from time to time. So wouldn't you want to do everything you can to prove it? You know, if you think of it like that, if you were working all day, but the police don't know that, you know, you could be on the road, you might not be in an office, you could be out and about, you just come home and you find that, you know, what are the police going to say? You know, it would be like, as well, you come home and you see that your wife is lying dead on the floor, there's a knife in her, you pull the knife out, someone walks in and sees you there with the knife in your hand with blood on you and your wife on the ground. Well, they're going to put two and two together and they're going to say he did it. So what are you going to do? You're going to go out of your way to prove that that's not you. You're going to talk to everyone. You're going to cooperate fully. You know, you're going to do absolutely everything in your power. You're going to talk to whoever. You're going to answer every single question that comes at you. And if you have some compelling evidence there, you are going to present that. You are going to present that to the board. You're going to present it to the public. You're going to present it to anyone to say, well, hang on a minute. You've all made this argument about me. You've made this judgment about me. Well, I'm going and talking to Simon Jordan. Here's all the evidence you want. Now take that and stick it. You know, if it's so compelling and if it's so in your favor, so to speak, then that's what you should be doing. But with the way it is with Conor Benn, it's like, does anyone ever see that scene from The Simpsons, the steamed ham scene, where Principal Skinner has Superintendent Chalmers over and he burns the roast they were making, so he goes to Krusty Burger, gets Krusty Burgers, gives him to Superintendent Chalmers, but he never turns the oven off, so the kitchen's caught fire. Superintendent Chalmers sees that and goes, good Lord, what is happening in there? Skinner just goes, Aurora Borealis. Aurora Borealis at this time of the day, in this part of the country, localised entirely within your kitchen. Yes. May I see it? No. That's kind of like how it is with Conor Benn and this whole dossier. It's like, are you innocent? Yeah. Okay. With what? With this 270-page dossier? Okay. May I see it? No. That's kind of how it's like. I would say, from the outside looking in, if Conor Benn wants to try and do anything to change the public's perception on him, then it would be a good idea to maybe go on a show like Simon Jordan. Accept the fact that you're going to get difficult questions asked of you, but if you can answer them, if you can take what he gives and give something back in sense of, you know, the conversation and, you know, saying, well, hang on a minute, you know, you can say this, but I can reiterate, I can talk over and say, this is what I have, it would help. You know, it would. Now, if there is legal situation with the British Boxing Board of Control, okay, that could be fine, fair enough. But surely you could at least mention some stuff to the public, or at least something, you know, go into it. Because the way it is now, the public aren't buying, you know, the Piers Morgan kind of end of it. They just aren't. So I think the best thing he could do from a PR point of view at this minute in time would be go on Simon Jordan. Just go on Simon Jordan, see what happens. You know, just see what happens. And I think a lot of people would respect him for that. I do. I think a lot of them would. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you think Conor Benn, I'd be interested to know, right? If Conor Benn went on to Simon Jordan, regardless how the interview went, would you look at that and say, okay, at least he's trying, at least he's gone on to someone who's not gonna, you know, at the end of the day, you look at people like IFL, you look at Boxing Social, MJP especially her. You know, this is a girl who said that during the lockdowns, the promoters like Eddie Hearn should pay her for doing nothing because of how much they do for it's like it's the other way around. So someone like her, she'd never ruffle any feathers. I mean, that girl, Jesus Christ. They want to keep going to these shows. They live off these shows. They live off going to these events, getting the interviews. You know, they have, if you've ever been, or I've been to plenty of them, if you've been to press conferences, you don't get, unless you're very lucky, you don't get first access to these boxers straight away. It's the IFLs, it's the MJPs, etc. They're the ones who get the access, right? And you just get the leftovers. What I mean by that is I don't mean the fighters. I mean, like, you get the 5 minutes at the end before the fighter goes off and you have to say, please, can I get an interview? That's just the way it is. Now, they don't want to lose that. They don't want to lose that. So they can't turn around in an interview with an Eddie Hearn, a Conor Benn, a Frank Warren and say, a Tyson Fury, and say, you know, why is this? Or, you know, I'm gonna go down here again, you know, as you see the Fury comments. You said you're the man of the people, you charge a record price on pay-per-view. Why is that? You know they're not going to be back at that event. So they ain't going to do that. But people like Simon Jordan, True Geordie, when he gave the interview with Tyson Fury, they don't care. You know, they're not beholden to these promoters and networks where they have to stay in the good book so they can keep going to these events. It's not like that. You know, for them, it's a case of, oh, you're not going to interview me again? Okay, well, that's all right. You know, I'm still going to be able to make these videos every week. I'm still going to be interviewing whoever, whether it's boxing or not boxing. So no skin off my nose. But if it's a different channel, if it's a channel who it's primarily boxing interviews, they know themselves they need to be at these big shows, every show, in order to hit in with the views. It's just the way it is. You know, it's just the way it is. That's my thoughts on this. Let me know yours in the comment section below, lads and lasses. I hope you enjoyed the video. Smash the like button if you could. As always, thank you to the Hit Company for sponsoring this video. For now, I'll talk to you. Peace.